If you're a car-sharing host, you know the deal. Growing your business almost always means taking on more debt. But what if there was another way? Today, we're going to dig into a pretty interesting financing model that's designed to help you expand your fleet, but without a traditional loan. So for any Turo host, the math seems pretty simple, right? More cars equals more money. But here's the catch. Scaling up usually means more loans, more debt. And that can be a huge roadblock to growth. So the real question is, how do you actually expand your fleet without piling on all that financial weight? All right, so before we jump into the solution, we really need to understand the problem. Let's talk about the Turo host's dilemma. We're talking about the true and often kind of hidden costs that sneak up on you when you own a fleet of cars. Look, the financial burden of owning these cars goes way beyond that monthly payment. You've got insurance, you've got maintenance that can pop up out of nowhere, you've got taxes. But the real kicker? Depreciation. It's like the silent killer of your car's value. All these things add up and they eat away at your profits, making it incredibly tough to save up for that next car. So if owning is loaded with all these hidden costs, what's the alternative? Well, this strategy we're looking at offers a totally different path. It's one that avoids those traditional loans by unlocking the capital you already have just sitting in your driveway. The core idea here is really a big shift from complexity to simplicity. So instead of juggling all these different unpredictable costs, insurance, maintenance, you name it, this model swaps all of them for just one single predictable rental fee.
Okay, so that sounds interesting in theory, but how does it actually work in the real world? The whole thing is built on a financial concept called a sale and leaseback.
So what in the world is a sale and leaseback? It's actually pretty straightforward. It's a deal where you sell an asset you own, in this case, your car, and then you immediately rent it back from the person who just bought it. The bottom line? You get a nice chunk of cash in your hand, but you get to keep the car in your fleet and keep making money with it.
The whole process really breaks down into 3 simple steps. First, you sell your car. That transfers the ownership, and boom, you've unlocked its value. Second, you get a lump sum of cash. That's capital that was totally tied up in the vehicle before. And third, you rent that exact same car right back and keep earning from it, all for a single rental fee.
Now that we know how it works, we get to the really big question. Why would you do this? Let's break down the specific benefits this model is supposed to offer.
Okay, the number one benefit is that you generate cash immediately. And that capital can be put right back to work to get more cars and scale your fleet, which directly pumps up your income potential. It also cleans up that messy web of ownership costs into one easy, predictable fee. Plus, there's this extra layer of flexibility. You get the option to just return the car during the term if things change for you.
But this is a claim from the source material that really stands out. This quote suggests a pretty powerful safety net. It says, if you can't make your rental payments, we'll cover and not recover the payment from you. Now, that implies a massive reduction in risk for the host, and it's something you would almost never, ever find with a traditional car loan.
So with all that on the table, we come to the most important question of all, right? Is this model actually the right path for your business and your goals?
At the end of the day, the whole strategy really just boils down to this. You're converting your car's equity into working capital, cash you can actually use to grow, and at the same time, you're simplifying all your expenses down into one predictable payment. And that leaves us with one final, pretty thought-provoking question for you to chew on. This is all about a strategic trade-off, right? It's ownership versus access to capital. So as a business owner, you've got to ask yourself, when does renting an asset that you used to own actually make more financial sense than just holding onto it? That's the calculation at the very heart of this entire model.